Good morning and welcome to the slant. It is 5 a.m. I have still got my coffee. It's early, but I like to get an early start to the day. Reminds me of something that someone once said. I used to do a lot of obstacle course racing, and they would have a hype guy up there to get the racers fired up. There'd be music playing in the background, and he'd always give a motivational speech. And one thing that he said at the start of one of the races, he said, "Don't let the sun catch you sleeping." So I thought that was good advice, and it stuck with me. So shout out to Coach Payne. Thanks for those words of wisdom. In the last episode, I started talking about the nuclear threat Vladimir Putin has thrown out there, where he stated that the U.S. and U.K. were facing possible nuclear attacks from Russia, and also stating that the U.K. would be attacked by Christmas of this year. These statements came out after Ukraine fired missiles given to them by the US and the UK, and they fired these missiles into Russia. Since then, China has called upon Putin for restraint and calm after the Russian president's comments and threats. Will Putin strike with a nuclear weapon? My opinion holds little value, but it is the opinion of no nuclear weapons will not be fired. I think this is largely a bluff by Putin to show strength after Russia was hit with missiles by Ukraine. I also think that if Putin did try to launch or continued talking about launching nuclear weapons, I think the Russian people, part of the Russian government, would get involved and do whatever they needed to do to prevent him from firing a nuclear weapon. Nobody wants nuclear missiles flying around. Nobody wants to be told a nuclear missile has been launched and you have 25 minutes or less to take shelter. Most of us, I know I don't have a nuclear fallout shelter at my house. I've got nowhere to go. Most people in the world would have nowhere to go. We're not prepared for it. It'd be devastating. So I have to hope that the greater part of humanity wants peace. It is only in those few insane people in the world that would want to unleash such a destructive force. Unfortunately, some of those same people are the ones who have their finger on the nuclear buttons. So could Russia fire a nuclear weapon to promote fear? Could they fire it at a testing site where there would be no casualties, but just to show that they still have that power and they still have that deadly weapon? They could. The last time Russia test fired a nuke was in 1990. Would a test fire be a sign of aggression right now? Maybe. With current situations the way they are, it could be considered a sign of aggression. Would NATO take action if Russia test fired a nuke? I don't know. NATO has talked about taking action just under the current threat. Would a nuclear demonstration stop the Russia-Ukraine war? No, it would not. So Putin's in a very unfavorable place right now. He is not winning the war, which some could say make Russia look weak. If he fails to get the old Soviet Union back together, then that concept dies when the war dies, if it stops. If he launches a nuke or continues to talk about this, China, who seems to have been allied with Russia, China might take some steps back and try to distance themselves from Russia. I mean, make no mistake, China would love to see the U.S. crumble, but I don't think they want to see the U.S. in crumbles. China would rather see the U.S. destroyed economically rather than figuratively. So will Russia attempt to do something on a larger scale prior to President Trump retaking office in January? Does Putin think that under a much weaker Joe Biden, that he has a better chance of pushing the limits of his power right now? I would think so. If it were me, that would seem most likely that right now is the time to do it. So Trump was never Putin's puppet, as he was called in the past by Democrats and by the lefty media. Trump was harder on Russia than Biden has been. And while Biden has only met with Putin once, and that was in 2021 before the war started, Biden really has not done a lot. He's supported Ukraine. He has given Ukraine enormous amounts of money, but I don't see where he's trying to de-escalate anything. He is escalating, not de-escalating. So do I think that on day one, Trump will end the war as he stated he would do during his campaign? No, that is not realistic. I think some de-escalation will begin. But once that de-escalation begins, Putin starts losing ground he's gained. The real question is if Putin sees this as his last chance to reform the Soviet Union, will he actually take the chance and launch? It takes one asshole to jack everything up for everyone else. And if you read the news like me, you are seeing World War III propaganda all over the place. And it's mostly propaganda, a media ratings grab. Is this a serious situation? Yeah, it's a serious situation. You can bet your ass it's serious. A nuclear threat should be taken seriously, even if it's unlikely to happen. So we'll continue to talk more about the nuclear threat and about what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. But we're going to change subjects now to something that's a little more light, a little more fun. And that's the real fight of the century that's going to take place. No, it was not the Tyson and Paul fight. This one towers over that rigged Netflix piece of crap special. By the way, who thinks the fight was fixed? I mean, both Paul and Tyson walked away with millions of dollars. When you watched all the videos posted, all the different angles of the fight, you can see Tyson held back. He was pulling punches. He pulled back a lot. He didn't go forward. He had so many opportunities he did not take. I don't care about Tyson's age. If it was a real fight, regardless of Tyson's age, Tyson would have won, and it would not have went 8 rounds. A few short 5 to 10 second blitz by Tyson, and it would have been over for Paul, who was just a poser. I think we will find out more about this over the next few months, but back to the fight we all want to see. Geraldo Rivera, a registered Republican, but really more of a lefty, this week said that he would fight Dan Bongino in a bar. Rivera and Bongino were both commentary people on Fox News in the past, and these two went at it, arguing all the time back and forth. They never agreed on anything. So, Netflix, let's get this set up for free. I mean, Geraldo is only 81 years young. Dan Bongino is just under 50. It's about the same age gap of Paul and Tyson. So set the cameras up at the bar and film this shit. Geraldo is best known for not finding anything in Al Capone's vault. In 1986, Geraldo had a primetime special that lasted 2 hours where he was going to open a recently discovered vault and find, I don't know, mob secrets, treasure, money, information. So it may show your age, but do you remember this?
Geraldo Rivera, and you're about to witness a live television event. A massive concrete vault has been discovered. Some think it belonged to none other than the notorious Al Capone. Well, tonight, for the first time, that vault is going to be open live.
So Bongino is a former police officer and former Secret Service agent who protected both Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. He now has turned into a podcasting mogul. He's involved with Rumble. He's got his own podcast. He's all over the place. And he has a huge following by conservatives and people who are riding the fence in between. So in my opinion, Geraldo has needed a good ass kicking for a long time. And if we can just get Netflix to produce this at the local dive bar on the corner, it could take bar boxing to a brand new level. Netflix, please set this up. We all want to watch this. Just make sure it doesn't buffer the whole time. Lastly, something I discussed also in a previous episode is that the Democrats literally could not have done a better job of picking the worst possible candidate in Kamala Harris. There was no one worse to pick. At the end of it all, the only talking point the Democrats and left media have is to point fingers at who should be to blame for her losing the presidency. It was everyone's fault, but not their fault, right? Wrong. And if you didn't know, she went over budget by $20 million in her campaign. The celebrity payouts were astronomical. If you saw a celebrity on TV with her, endorsing her, they were getting paid millions of dollars. Paid support. And it all backfired because they picked the worst possible candidate in the world.
Kamala.
Yes.
Kamala's polling well. She's in Hawaii working on her tan with Dougie Fresh. She's working the phones. She thinks she's going to run again, but it is going to be a knife fight. Does she know that?
Yeah, but before she ever thinks to run again, she first has to pay off the campaign this time. She's heavily in debt, $20 million. If she ran for California governor, she'd lose. If she ran for president, she wouldn't get out of the primary. They know for a fact, had they done the right thing and gone back and let the people decide, she never would have won. She never would have been the nominee.
So that's a wrap. Thanks for listening, everyone. Have a blessed Thanksgiving, and God bless.